Hi everyone and welcome to a casted WARNO game. Today I've just jumped in on a 4v4, a random one that was up and available for spectating. So they're getting casted today, a little beknownst to them. Now, most games aren't castable because I think the default is that they're not spectatable, so thank you for these guys for opening it up. I don't know if they did it on purpose or not. But basically we have 4v4, we have Pegasus, Saito, Hawkeye, S-Dogs and El Vulpo for NATO, and playing as the Pact we have Doxy's 2500, we have the Dark Angel, Margis, and Harry PL. They are starting with 1,500 points, and I believe that's each because there are a lot of units down on the map. Over here, we actually have the Russian side in blue and the Americans in red. I'm afraid that is just the way the game has put them, and I can't change it, very frustratingly. So we are right at the start of the game. I was going to cast one of my games that I played the other day, but unfortunately the system for watching old patch replays is currently broken and just crashes. So we're going to watch this instead and see what happens in a 4v4 in this game, because I've never actually watched one. So they're at the end of their deployment, and I'm just hitting start now. So we're a little bit behind them, maybe a minute or so, but otherwise we are watching live. Straight away, Pegasus sending out a cluster bomber there. I'm assuming this is going for the road. Now, I've been wondering about this as a tactic, taking it and bombing down a road because of the sheer amount of straight line. Oh, look at that. Absolutely devastating. And a second one. Yeah, those cluster bombers are massively improved to what they were. Oh my word. That, I mean, SD League Protoss guy told me yesterday they've improved it massively, and he wasn't kidding. That is ridiculous. Harry PL bringing in a cluster bomber as well. I'm not sure where it's going. He might have missed the boat for catching anything off guard, but that was devastating. That was basically like dropping a smirch on incoming vehicles in Wargame Red Dragon. Now, the big fight is going to be over the middle point. Now, I noticed originally one of the Red 4 team said they were going to go here straight away, but they haven't actually done that. They're sort of just defending that point. They must have changed their mind. Oh, there's that cluster bomber. It's done some damage, and there is now nothing from NATO in the center point. Obviously, everything a little bit delayed here because of all that damage. Loads of units here, lots of defensive positioning. Plenty of scouts dotted around to stop anything getting around the back. We are seeing some Spetsnaz Grau getting around the back there, up at the top. They'll be looking to, I expect, spot the enemy command vehicle, if nothing else, with the intention of sniping it with some artillery. Or at least that would be what I would be doing. Now, quite a big, massive unit down here as well. And over here. I mean, this is where I expected the focus to be, all in the middle of the map. But realistically, I'm not actually seeing much from the NATO side. You know, I would have expected them to have a lot more units hitting this middle section. I know they've lost some to bombers, but even so, this seems like a lack of forces from them. Loads of infantry up here and vehicles in the forest. A strange defensive position. I would have been trying to sit sort of on the edge of this forest and in these buildings here to shoot anything incoming with any missiles. But at the moment, it is looking like Red 4 have a firm hold. Oh, wow. And immediately, Sato Hawkeye has left the game, has been defeated. Now, I don't know if that's because they lost that many units. They were in the middle, I believe. So, yes, it is possible that they've just automatically surrendered. Now, you just have a lot of units up here, so I'm a little bit confused. Perhaps that was a genuine disconnect. A lot of Sapori coming in over here. Sapori RPOs. I was going to say there's so many of them, but it's because they are trained rather than anything else. And I suppose, realistically, do they need to be anything more than trained? That is up for debate. bit suicidal with those choppers there. I think they originally belonged to Hawkeye, but someone else now has control of them, I assume. There's much more of a spread of units on this side. Do you notice that? Like, there's a concentration coming down the road, but there's not a lot of units spread out. Whereas here, you've got a lot of units spread out in a very defensive formation. I think that's a little bit excessive. I mean, as long as you can put a defensive wall here and across the map, then you should see anything getting past. This feels like a bit of a waste of points. And, you know, in turn, would explain why these guys have so much control here. I'll also note that NATO haven't actually capped all of the points that they have access to. As yet, no one has capped Golf, and no one has capped Charlie. And, you know, points are slowly ticking up for Pact. Is that a cluster? That is a cluster MRLS that is going in there. It will obviously do a significant amount of damage at the moment, anything it hits. But realistically, I mean, what you need to do in that situation is bring in an infantry CV and just get them out. Because a cluster shouldn't be damaging infantry. Although, if they're that overpowered at the moment, who knows? What's going on at the top of the map? Fairly stagnated, though. All these RPOs are heading in. And what I will say is that I don't think Blue 4 are ready for it. They're a significant amount of the force are still up here at the top, not doing a whole lot. There is a single engineer dragon squad there. They are not going to stop all those RPOs. I actually think that it's already the case that NATO are in trouble here. Here we go. There's some cluster arty coming in on infantry. So yeah, no damage to the infantry. BMP-1 didn't take any damage, though it was no direct hit. That's... yeah, absolutely no effect on the infantry. I was just curious, but it does appear to be the case that they're not phased. And there's no sort of direct hits. Oh, that got hit. And that got popped by a missile. So was that a missile that did all that other damage that I missed, or did it actually get hit by the cluster? Unsure. But at the moment, again, there's so many units spread out here, and, you know, they could be better suited to the front line, or pushing the middle or something. They have finally capped both Golf and Charlie, so the points have stopped trickling in for Pact. However, Pact are making a very slow move, potentially, on that point there, and obviously they are firmly, uncontested might I add, in control of the middle point. I do notice they have a command vehicle there, but it isn't capping, so either it's just outside technically, or it needs moving in and out. Oh no, there we go, it has capped. It was just taking its time and not showing me the percentage. So they are now getting that trickle of 3 points again. It is out of 4,000, of course, so this is going to be a long game. There is that cluster again coming in. Are these taking damage? That one has taken a bit of damage. There it goes. That was a significant amount of damage, but that just killed both of those, I think. I believe there were two there, so that's quite powerful. And apparently these will kill any tank in 2 hits at the moment, these cluster arty. Nuke 31's on station, but there's not a lot of aircraft coming out for the NATO side, and they are still not pushing the middle. I don't even feel like they're building up forces for a push. Here we go, the RPOs are on the move up here, so we're going to get to see some fighting. Those engineers had pulled back and are now going to try and engage the RPOs, but realistically, the RPOs will have it. Also note there are more reinforcements coming in here, some Conkers there. I'm not sure where they're going. I assume defensive position, move that defensive line forward. There's also some down here. Benefits and disadvantages, they're not something I would generally go for. They are quite squishy targets. And although they will outrange most tanks, they're not the best thing ever. I mean, penetration's alright. Fire rate's pretty good, but their accuracy's quite poor. I'd rather have another set of tanks. Really, I do think they need to re-add the vehicle tab like they have in Wargame, so that these types of things have a separate tab for bringing them in, rather than them be on the tank tab. So the RPOs are moving in here. They're going up against Stingers, so the Stingers are going to die. The Dragons aren't going to survive very long. Bradleys will make a good fight, and they have actually killed a few squads of those RPOs already, just for that positioning up on the hill, I think, in particular. And the RPOs can't really do anything against those Bradleys. So that is a very good use by Saddox of his Bradleys there. Still more cluster RT being fired, which is just hitting this area here. We'll be taking out a few units, potentially, but again, it's not going to do anything to the infantry. It is perhaps making them panic and dropping cohesion to low, but that's about it. Zooming out again, if we zoom in here, we can see that these have all moved forward significantly, and there's a large force here now, though I can't honestly see them pushing out from there. It's quite a lot of open ground. They are bringing in CEVs and things. I mean, they could certainly hold. Oh, that's a cluster strike coming in. That might take out some of the vehicles and the anti-air. Yeah, a few vehicles gone. Nothing too exciting though. I'm really wanting to see some HE bombers come in and see how much damage they do to the infantry now. An attempt at taking out the artillery at the back there, but they are moving it after firing. If we zoom out now, we can see that there's still this significant force for defense, and that artillery has been coming in and will kill that MRLS, I think. Yeah. Oh, yep, there it goes. I don't think that was moving, unfortunately, so that is the risk. And the other team have 6 artillery pieces on the go. Soviets are now moving up. Margis is putting units all around this point and will squish it into control by the looks of it. There's still a lot of units up here from S-Docs. I mean, it's very defensive positioning, and right now they can't play defensively. They need to be on the aggressive side. They have to get into that center point to neutralize it. But unfortunately, ever since the start of the game, they've been on the back foot. I mean, there was that fantastic opening salvo with the cluster planes over here, which took out a lot of the forces that were going here. If you're going to attempt that, then I would be rushing as many of my troops into this town as possible to try and hold this side of it, if nothing else, to just neutralize the point. Especially if you're, utilizing those aircraft, which might die on that run, to stop the enemy getting close to you. I mean, you can see the amount of things that were destroyed. That's a lot of infantry carriers destroyed there. So it was really effective. But, you have to follow that up with an aggressive push. You can't just do that and then sit back here, or keep so many units back at the back of the base. I mean, that's too much stuff. And the same applies here. I mean, there is a Spetsnaz crew knocking about there, but there's so many units back here. Do you really need that many defending? A couple of scout squads would protect the base. See, these mortar Strelki are making a push now, which is probably more sensible than just RPOs on their own. It's a shame to lose all those RPOs because they are so good against infantry, but you do need to support them with something that can kill vehicles, especially when you're going up against the Americans and those Bradleys. Not really much movement happening here. That artillery is coming in and is doing a significant amount of damage now to the infantry. So HE shells on the artillery are now doing the damage they should have been before. Now, interestingly, I note that risky, might I add, for that TATU, but these guys are pushing out slightly beyond that point. I mean, they have a firm hold on it right now. They actually are at +5 because they have managed to get in and neutralize this point. I didn't actually notice it before, but they did have a command sappery with them. So that has now neutralized. Those points are ticking up ever so much faster. But again, this is a 4,000 point game, which I think is just too much the way the ticks are going at the moment. I think that needs to be reduced to 2,000 even in 4v4s, because these games are just going to go on and on. Good use of MiG-31s, but perhaps getting a little bit too close to enemy territory there. They may get out. They're very lucky if they get out. I think they actually managed to get out of the map. I've had this bug a few times. The flares just keep spraying out after the plane disappears. I mean, if we zoom right out now, we can see the simple amount of massed Blue 4 forces there. I mean, it is just a mishmash. You can't really see what's going on from this distance, but it does go to show how many forces they have compared to Red 4. And I keep saying Blue 4, Red 4, but they're reversed. I must remember that. This is packed. No, this is NATO. This is packed. Oh, I wish they would correct the colours on this. Use of those clusters again. Let's see how much damage it actually does. I think they missed those tanks. I think that was the one that was already damaged and is getting repaired. Not really a huge amount of movement up here. I perhaps would have expected some reinforcements in terms of infantry by now, but perhaps they simply don't have any or don't have the points to bring any in. Again, a very defensive positioning here. No one really pushing. I can see S-Docs does have a couple of units down here now, and Ivo Lupo is attempting with an Apache to do a bit of damage, but they're just not having a big enough force to push into that center point. And realistically now, they have to either get this back and secure it properly, or they need to be pushing it into the middle. And realistically, to win this game, they will have to do both. And I think they're going to struggle. Margis is just attempting to hold this point, is sending out units to have a little peek at what is going on. Bradley is coming in there in a defensive position to try and take out those troops. I mean, realistically though... Oh, was that a HE bomber? Cluster bombers. So that is Bradleys that were defending now dead. Extremely effective, those cluster bombers now. Back to wargame style damage, if not slightly too much compared to wargame. I'm just not seeing huge amounts of infantry coming in. There are Fireteam Dragons with Bradleys coming in now from S-Docs. I assume they're going to go back up here, but is it too little too late? I'm surprised that Margis is holding back with some of these BMPs. They could be pushed up into here to provide a little bit of fire support in the woodland for some infantry. The middle, again, not looking good for NATO at the moment. It just becomes more and more secure as more and more tanks roll in to bolster that defense. Do you see Pegasus is thinking about pushing in, although there are Spetsnaz GRU slowly making their way around here. I assume, again, these guys will be attempting to spot what is going on. S-Docs is actually sending his infantry down here. Perhaps they are going to attempt to get into that position again. I can hear that artillery going off behind me. How many is that? It's an MRLS. Oh, it's a couple of normal MRLS, not clusters. I'm assuming that's been quite effective because there are no infantry there. But I'm not sure if there have been any there recently. They're damaged. They're only Iglas. Perhaps more effective than they were previously. Artillery shots coming in. On what, I am not sure. Oh, and all of these units here. Effective or not is the question. Nothing's taking damage. Oh, there we go. They took a bit of damage. Oh yeah, they're dead. That's certainly improved from what it was. No real effort from NATO to recap these points, unfortunately. Pegasus is giving it a go with a few tanks, but that is not going to be enough to push into that point. Loads of cluster planes coming in from the packed side, going after these tanks as well. They have spread out. Is it enough? Oh, that is routing. I can't actually click on it to see the damage that it took, but it must have taken quite a bit of damage. And there is a second set of bombs coming in. Not a lot of damage to that one. Missed that one. That one is routed and will die to those incoming T-80Us. I'm really disappointed I can't see how much health it has left. I mean, it's taking side shots, so I'm surprised it's... oh, there we go. I can click on it now. Click on it just in time to see it die. Up here, not a lot happening. More reinforcements coming in from Margies. We'll be pushing through that point completely. Down here at the bottom of the map, we're not seeing much changing, to be honest. There's plenty of back and forth, destroying units here and there, but I don't see that... I can see what Ivo Lupo is wanting to do there, but that is just not going to be feasible. You will not get a squad of command infantry in there without it being seen and without it being killed, realistically. I can guarantee you there will artillery as soon as they get the opportunity. Good use of mortars there. Attempting to kill the command infantry, I assume. Taking a guess at where it might be. But there is command infantry there. There is a command vehicle there. I mean, it's pretty secure right now. I thought I heard the gun of the A-10. Eagles taking out at least one of those MiG-31s. The Eagle's still superior to the other jets by far. Oh, we're seeing some artillery fire again. Trying to hit those enemy artillery. Doing a bit of damage, certainly. But the spread on them is quite big. There is also some cluster munitions coming in. Certainly an amount of damage being done with the HE, but you have to get pretty good direct hits, or near enough direct. Unfortunately, the clusters have not hit the mark there. Middle continues to be heavily secured, and at the top of the map here, we're seeing some use of what I assume are cluster bombers. They could have been HE bombers. They're off the map, sadly, so I can't see. Certainly haven't done any damage to those infantry. Margis is slowly pushing through that point. Certainly no doubt about the fact they have a very secure hold on it now. I imagine that this command infantry will soon meet its fate. There are some tanks coming in at the back there, which will be helpful, but they're still not going to be able to stop the infantry push if he brings in any more at that side. In the centre here, there are a significant amount of forces there, including command. However, I'm not sure what the plan is. That was a scout. They were using a T-64 to scout. That is an expensive scout. But it just goes to show how secure these guys feel in their position right now. Look at this at the back. Harry PL just has loads of tanks sat there, ready to respond. That's how much cash there is in this game right now. Harry PL can spare all of that stuff just to sit there and wait until it is needed at a particular point in the map. So if NATO do attempt to do any push, those will be ready to respond. More artillery coming in on these pieces of artillery. Solox has surrendered. Not overly surprised by that. I mean, they're on the back foot. I don't think they can realistically win this. Perhaps with the overwhelming force of getting more units to bring in. But even then, the defensive positions for Pact are quite secure right now. Finally getting some kills on Dark Angel's artillery pieces. There we go. Just the one left with 1 point. So close to dying. Just needed one final good rocket on that. There's the cluster coming in. Oh, so close. I think that's it. Well, killed 2 of them. Up here, yeah, there we go. So, I mean, those command infantry are being pushed right out, so they've lost that point, so it's now +7. Those points are ticking down ever so much faster. This is unfortunately a long game as a result of the fact that this is a 4,000 point game. I mean, they know where those command infantry are. They can see it spreading. They should surely be able to get some shots off on those and finish them off. What are we seeing over here now? Again, there's just this stagnation at the bottom of the map. That early advantage of destroying those vehicles was not pushed by Blue 4, unfortunately. The NATO team here in red could have easily got units into this town when they did all that damage at the start. I mean, I love the fact that these just remain on the map now. The amount of dead vehicles, I mean, they took out so many infantry carrying vehicles there. Lots of use of aircraft, loads of anti-air aircraft out for Pact now. Just having a look at what's coming in, there are a lot more infantry coming in. They're listed as being from Saito Hawkeye, however, obviously that person left the game, so I'm assuming that you can pull stuff in from the other people's decks effectively. They are now at +9, they were +11, how did they get +11? Back at +9. Oh, they've taken out the command vehicle here, or it has been moved. I'm assuming they managed to artillery it. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, and they've got it here. They did do a push through there. All those tanks that were there have pushed through into Charlie. Well, that was busy elsewhere. And that was just a heavy push with tanks. I mean, there was no stopping that with what was there. Cleaning up the map now, +11. Su-25 ATGM is flying around unabated. At the back of the map, there is that command vehicle there. I don't know if they know it's there or not. But this game will be over sooner rather than later, and I think realistically, unfortunately for Pegasus, Saito Hawkeye, S-Dox and Evolupo, namely Pegasus and Evolupo, who I believe are the only ones still in the game, this has been an uphill battle from the start. There's a lot of clusters coming in again. What are they actually going for? I find it difficult to judge where these bombs are planning to land at the moment. Straight through the middle there. Not much there actually, to be honest. HE bombers, but HE bombers are not that effective against vehicles. So many AA right now. So many MiG-31s. It hasn't actually dropped all of its payload. It needs to be evac though, because it is badly damaged. That T-64 is still going for that CB. They must have given the position away by moving it in again. I think Harry is just deciding where to go with all of those tanks. Very secure point now, this. They're not going to get back in there. They could recap this with those mech rifles, but I think they're just going to sit there for the moment. Moved up these MRLS. Oh, that is a lot of grads. That is someone who has too many points to spend and nothing to spend it on. Look at all those grads. Look at that mess. Wow. I mean... wow. That is devastating. I would not want to be under that lot. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with a command vehicle. 9 grads with a command vehicle to boost them up to the next level. And that is game. That was quite a brutal game. Well, thanks very much for watching, everyone. I hope this was entertaining. It was quite interesting seeing a 4v4. Obviously, unfortunately for NATO, it was perhaps decided quite early on by a lack of forces trying to retake that middle point and push the packed team out. But thanks very much for watching again. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more WARNO.